What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Roschelle McCoy. How you doing today, Roschelle?
Great. How are you doing today, Dan?
Oh, I can't complain. And if you are sitting here wondering, why am I watching this? What's going on? A Chance Encounter is where I interview commercial real estate investors in my circle. And what I do is I go through the 5 different distinct motivations I found and say which one describes you best. Then I pull out the DanDoesDeals commercial roll die, and you can get your own one at DanDoesDeals.com. Just print it out. It doesn't cost anything. I don't even ask for your email. What a dummy, huh? Anyway, I go through the 6 different roles, and then I ask my guests, which of these is your core competency? What are you going to contribute to your next deal? And then that way, the other commercial real estate investors in my circle, like myself, can say, this is the person we want to work with. And so we get in touch with them. So before we get too ahead of ourselves, though, Roschelle, could you please introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Absolutely. I'm Roschelle McCoy. I've been investing in real estate since 2017. Started off like most people with some single families, some small multis, and then eventually transitioned into larger multifamily. So in 2020, I started down the path of exploring larger multifamily acquisitions. And since that time, I've LP'd on 3 different deals. And I just closed on a 40 unit in Tampa as a general partner. So really excited to be in this space.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's go to the motivation part. And I click on this, and then I click on that, and then I go like that and here, and I hit this. There it is. So this part here is the motivation piece. I go through it first because if the person's new to commercial real estate, maybe they don't know the role that they're going to be playing, but they will definitely know their motivation. The first one that I have here is preserving your purchasing power. So if you rely on the cash flow that comes from your wealth, from your assets to make ends meet, your biggest enemy is inflation. And so you keep on making more acquisitions to stave off inflation. So that's the first motivation that a lot of commercial investors have. The second one is my one. So I got a background in tech. Specifically, it was in the CRM industry, and I owned a web development agency to go along with the CRMs. But the problem with making a bunch of money in tech is you're also paying more taxes than anybody else because it's a wage, it's a salary. And that doesn't make any sense to me. So I pivoted into things where I'd be rewarded for my time and effort in the form of equity, AKA wealth. So that's what I'm up to in this big thing here. But the most common reason for people to get commercial properties is because they're trying to fast track retirement. And part of that is that it's implied that you want to call it quits one of these days. Maybe once you become an accredited investor or somewhere in that neck of the woods, you just want to move someplace with a low cost of living and live out your days. That would be a fast track retirement person, but that's in contrast to the next group who's so ambitious, they're never going to quit. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're just going to keep on going and going. You know, this is the legacy wealth people. Maybe they don't even want their great grandchildren to ever have a day job. But that's also in contrast to the next group who want to give it all away in one form or another. And they pick some sector of society. Maybe it's the tenants themselves, but maybe it's another sector of society. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's animals. But the social impact is the reason why they keep on making commercial acquisitions, or at least this one. So out of those different 5, Roschelle, what resonates with you the most? What describes you? What combination of those describes you best?
Well, I definitely don't want to discount the importance of having good social impact, because that definitely is a key component to this, right? This is a people business, and you're buying buildings, but they're buildings occupied by people, and everyone, you're interacting with dozens and dozens of people as you're doing that acquisition process, right? So this is very much a people oriented business, and um, you need to be operating in a way that you're going to be good to those people, and then also sustainable from an environmental perspective. So that's really important to me, but not, I won't lie, not the reason I got into this primarily. So my big why for getting into real estate centered around the fast track to retirement option. So I, like many, realized, especially after having kids, like how unbelievably fast time goes, right? The days can be long, but the years can be short when you start to look back and realize, I've been in this career for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And, how did that happen even? It really makes you cherish the time you have left. Not to sound morbid, but none of us know how much time that is for each of us. So being able to really cherish every moment and every day that you have is the focus, and what's really keeping me motivated in the multifamily space. So making sure that I can provide what I need to for my family so we can live a good, abundant life. I want to be able to give to others, charities, etc. But really have that freedom of time so I can do what I want to do and spend all the time possible with the people I love.
I really love that. And it's a big motivator for me as well. And that's why I got this right here on my desk, which is it's the plug that was behind my couch with a smart plug. And it was glowing hot when I pulled this out. I smelt it, and it was because it was kind of behind the couch. It could have very easily burnt the entire house down. And we were about to go upstairs for the night when it was happening. So it was lucky that we smelt it. So if the world wanted us dead, then it would have succeeded. So that's why I have it in a little display case. That's right. Own your time. But speaking about owning your time, if you're going to get in commercial real estate, you got to know all the different roles. And let's go through those for anybody who wants to learn how to communicate effectively on the topic of commercial real estate. The first role to know is the repositioner. Repositioners are acquisition people, so they're looking at a bunch of different properties. And what are they doing when they look at these properties? Well, first, the thing that they're doing is they're underwriting them, which means they're doing the math to figure out if this property, first of all, is making as much money as they say it is, but also say, how can we make even more money than the property is currently generating? And the repositioner has a couple of different main tricks for that. The first one is more efficient operations. Okay, if you reduce your costs, then that's upside. Operations has a lot of parts to it. I know that Roschelle, you have some marketing background as well, so that's definitely something that's involved in an operations piece to keep the vacancy low. But unclogging toilets, all that kind of stuff, operations, it can only get you so far, especially in a market as hot as right now. So the other main key that a repositioner has is a contractor team to do a value add. Okay, so if the units are actually nicer, then they can charge more in rent, and that's upside. But if you are a repositioner from the internet like me, then you also need a local. You need to have boots on the ground, somebody who can be there in an hour or two, because that's not going to be me. So usually people look at those four sides and say, okay, those are the owners. Like if you're a tenant, you'd say, oh, they're the owners, right? But of course the banks are involved, the capital raisers as well. But the financiers, that's the banks, they're going to want to know something that hasn't been mentioned. I should also mention that the repositioner, if they know really good financiers, then they can get upside just from having a more competitive loan. But the financier, they're going to be more concerned about something we haven't seen yet, which is who's the sponsor? Who's the KP? And what that's all about is if you want to get a loan to buy a commercial property, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. So that's what's stopping the average Joe from buying a 350 unit apartment complex. You have to know some sponsors who already own a similar asset, or else you won't be able to get a loan. If you want to buy it all out straight out, then you can go ahead, but that's a lot of cake. Anyway, those are the 6 different roles, and if you have the right amount of liquidity and you have a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Roschelle, in your next deal, what's your core competency that you're most likely to be contributing?
So for the next deal, I'm definitely in the repositioner type of space. So finding that value add type of deal where we can go in and improve the property, exterior, interior, make sure that we've got market rents up to where they need to be, make sure we've got expenses as low as possible, and then really driving value into that operation, increasing the net operating income, and making sure that we can provide good returns for our investors through that process.
All right, easy peasy. The next question I have, I call it the buy box. It's what geography, what unit count, and what class. Class can be 2 different parts. It can be the area that it's in as far as like crime rate and things like that, and that's an ABC. And then there's also the condition of the actual property. That's also ABC. But those are the 3 parts as far as an ideal property. So Roschelle, as far as if somebody's bringing you a deal that's easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to, can you describe that property, please?
Sure. What we're looking for, since we already have a property in Tampa, we're obviously focused on acquiring more assets in Tampa. Our current property there is 40 units. It's a little smaller one. So we would entertain smaller units there as well to gain some efficiencies, especially from our property management perspective, but also looking at larger sizes as well. In an ideal scenario, we'd want something, 75 plus units. That way we can have on-site management. So in addition to Central Florida, we're also looking in the Carolinas, Dallas and Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, and in Indianapolis, Indiana. And all those same, type of unit ranges, kind of the 75 to 150 unit range size, B, C class value add types of properties.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. And you and I met through some meetups. I found them through LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn the best way to reach you, or is it through that multitude of websites and emails and phone numbers you have on your screen there?
There's no shortage of ways to contact me, as you can see from the screen. But yeah, LinkedIn is a good way as well. My first name's a little tricky, so investtitanium.com might be just as easy for those that struggle with how to spell my name with all the many, many consonants in it. So whichever works for you, Roschelle McCoy on LinkedIn or investtitanium.com, 2 great ways to reach me.
All right, beautiful. And yeah, don't worry. Most of the people in the camera, they're on YouTube. So that her name will be in the description there. That always is. It'll be in the actual title. But while I'm talking to you for a moment, I should draw your attention to the red button that is somewhere down here, because it should make you so sad and angry, because its very existence, it's an injustice. Because what that red button means is that YouTube won't pay me for this video. But if you click on it, it doesn't cost you anything, and then YouTube will pay me for these videos. And that's cool, right? All it really does is it means that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. Again, it costs you absolutely nothing, and you'd be doing me an enormous favor by just doing exactly that. But Roschelle, as far as the people on this die here, I love how cooperative everybody in commercial real estate is, because we really need everybody involved. Who are you best suited to help, and no breaking SEC restrictions with enticing investors? Because that's a no-no.
Sure. I would say probably best to help other repositioners, because that's the space that I'm in. I'm also relatively new in my multifamily journey. So if there are others out there that are, just coming in and trying to figure out the path through this, wild, big ocean of information, as it pertains to multifamily and the different, roles and everything that happens there, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk and kind of tell you my path and how I got to where I was today and found my partners, and got into my first deal. So always happy to help new investors.
Awesome. That's sweet. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, which I'm sure you've already done. But Roschelle, you've done me an enormous favor joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Dan. It was fun.
Awesome.
I just want to tell you, because I've actually seen your website, Real Estate is a Scam, before, and I loved it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I think it's really so spot on. There's good stuff, bad stuff in every industry.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. For Dan the Man.
And thank you. Turn that subscribe button from red like his beard to gray like his beard will be.
So I met Dan through some networking groups for real estate investing. He's a great guy from what I know about him. He's very ambitious, and he makes it easy to come on with his questions and has a great setup. It's easy, it's clear, concise, and I'd recommend going on his interviews for anyone that's considering it.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was super fun. The process was so easy, a caveman can do it. I mean, if you guys haven't done it yet, you guys need to get on his calendar. Just take 15 minutes of your time, get exposure, find out who Dan is, what he's about. He's a true trifecta. And if you don't know who he is, get in touch with him. Google his name, find him on LinkedIn, do whatever you can, just reach out to him.
So I really appreciate the format. Like I've told you a couple times before, I think it's really great because me personally, I'm very long-winded. I have to purposefully make things more concise, but the way I take things in is I definitely prefer things to be concise and straight to the point and concentrated. And the chance encounters really do that great for individuals. So you can get a good grasp on who they are, what do they do, why do they do it, what space do they operate in. That's why I love you.